Good girl. Good job. So here's Dior on day 11. So I've got her back in the round pen to do some more work. And I like to start by letting him do a little bit of free lunging around, getting her to move and changing directions and such. So, and you'll hear I kind of can use a lot of voice during this moment where I'm clucking to get them to go forward, and I also had the flag. And she always likes to try to stop by like right by the feeder here, but I'm going to push her on forward. And then I'm going to ask her with my voice to stop with a whoa. And I was really happy with that. She's starting to kind of hook up on my whoa word, so that's good. So then moving on to doing some work with the flag. And, making sure I get through all the spots to where I know I can start to trust her with the flag. And I think this type of work is important. I have learned through several of my Mustangs that, especially when you're helping them learn a language of how to react to things. So honestly, I kind of made a mistake there where I was turned facing her with the flag and making noise. I should have just turned away and had her follow while I made the noise, and she forgave me for it and figured it out pretty quickly. But that's kind of how I like to always introduce and then take it away. And this type of work, prep work, is really good for helping in scenarios of the plastic bag. Oftentimes in eventing we have to take our numbers off and that paper rustles. All those things are can cause a horse to have a reaction, and so this flag work helps. And also with the Mustangs, sometimes they can have a little bit of a negative overreaction to the flag just because that's how they had to have the pressure in the pens. So I always find it's really good to go back and do that work. And now this is the work with my ribbon stick. So the nice thing about this tool is it's more so a visual. It's a very soft feel. So they're going to see something that has a lock that's pretty long and has lots of things to it, and it can kind of make a whiz sound, but I really like it, and horses seem to respond well to it. But she's got a pretty good head on her shoulders, and she knows how to react to certain things. I mean, she takes it all in stride. So, but again, just going through my ABCs of where I can put it all over parts of her body. And if they're good about it, I kind of finish up with it and then move along to the next thing. So I'm going to just do this a little bit more. And then see about getting her to follow me with making the sound. So I did that more correctly that time, where I walked away so she could follow, so that she could build up confidence that way. And so that was very good with the ribbon stick. And now I'm moving on to my rope work. And so this is kind of the prep work that I do before I put my Cingle on. So I'm going to use the rope here to get her used to having that feeling of something around the body. I like to do this just to help them kind of navigate how to move off that pressure, and that it's okay to walk forward. So right now I'm just going to have it really open and just kind of give gentle nudges. And sometimes I can get a reaction just from this, but there really wasn't a reaction here, so I'm just going to do a little bit more and just do a couple of tugs on that tummy. That was pretty good. So then what I like to do is go ahead and clip it, and so it's going to mimic like a Cingle. And I have the ability to kind of change the pressure on this, which is nice because then again I can have more so control. And here you can kind of see how I have my setup as I'm adjusting on my phone. And Dior says hello. And the rope that I have, it's a fairly long rope, so sometimes I get myself in a bit of... You have to be careful with the ropes and making sure you don't get tangled up and get it wrapped around your leg. So this does take a little bit of coordination. And then I just wanted to send her forward. She's kind of sucking into me a little bit. And I'm just going to have her going forward now with there barely any pressure on the rope. And then I'm going to graduate it a little bit more. And then anytime she kind of gives, I'm going to soften to her. But and then of course she turned in and came to me, which was not the worst thing. But she was totally fine with feeling that around her. I'm just doing some adjustment with my rope here and moving it to the other side. So again, I have to kind of teach her to move away from me here, and then I'm going to add some pressure. And for her, when I add the pressure, she wants to go forward, which is a good thing. There hasn't been any bucking yet, but it's fairly common for them to have that type of response sometimes because they're learning about that feeling. So now I've changed the position of the rope again. So now I have it to where I can have it follow around her hocks. You can see how loose I can have the rope. And this also means it may slip further back, so it's good prep for a back cinch. Sometimes it can slip back to the flank, but it's not super tight, but it gives them that feeling. And you never know quite when that scenario is going to happen. So right here she's kicking because the rope is touching her back legs. And you can see kind of how loose it has slid back, but it's not tight, so you can see how loose it is. But she's going to learn here that that kind of isn't the reaction that works. And then nice when she softens. So that was very good. That's kind of the reaction that I want her to learn, that she can relax and everything's going to be okay. And then I'm just going to work here on moving that rope around. And again, all this prep for work is for the things that could happen. I've had things where things have slipped and it's caused the horse to buck. And then I've had it where when I've prepped my horses like this, there's really no reaction and everyone can stay safe. So I find it's really important work to do. So then we're going to go the other way, the rope over her hocks, so it touches and dangles, and she's doing pretty good with that. And that was very good. So overall, I was really pleased with how she handled that rope work. And now we have a little bit of a scenario here where Megan is on the bike, and so I had Megan come and drive around the round pen so I could have Dior follow. and you know, figured it'd be fun to kind of, for us to move together in movement in chasing the bike. And I think that's really good, because oftentimes when I think about how horses, when they kind of go together, they, you know, both of them trot together to check out things, so that kind of helps her stay with me a little bit more. And I was then happy with how she responded to the bike, and Fergus with his bell. So now I'm going to introduce the Cingle. And so it's a little bit different than everything else we've experienced. And here with her moving, I'm kind of going to let her move her feet around right now. I'm just going to keep her a little flexed to the inside. And then the minute she stopped, I took the pressure away, because that's what I want to teach her. I want to teach her to stand still. So here I'm going to stay with her with the movement and just have a little bit of the flexion here. I'm trying to stay right in by the shoulder, but we're getting a little further out. But I'm just going to keep the flexion and just wait in there. That was a good moment where she said, oh, okay. So still a little bit of worry. And there, I might have gone a little bit longer than I like. Sometimes watching back on the video, you can see all the little mistakes that you make sometimes. And here I'm just going to stay with her still while I pop it over, because this is just their learning phase about things. And like, my goal is to always you know, make a good impression for them. So set them up for learning how to respond to things and building up their confidence. So now that's getting much better. And then I'm just going to tell her with my hand that I'm going under. And because I did a little bit of the rope work, I know she's okay with that feeling of pressure around her belly, but I'm not going to make anything super tight, just enough so it's not going to slip. But so she can get the feeling of the Cingle, which is still a little bit different than the rope. And that was a really nice reaction. She's a little distracted about something off in the distance. And sometimes she likes to come in a little close to me, but I'm just going to keep asking her, like right there. I'm going to keep telling her to keep moving and kind of pay attention to me. Because again, she's just a little distracted. And so now, since she was good with the Cingle, I'm going to add the rope back in, because now I can clip the rope on the Cingle and have it cross her back and do things where they can be a little bit sensitive. To, again, you never quite know where a rope's going to go, so all of this prep work really helps. And we're a little reactive, so right there she was kind of trying to drag me a little bit, so I put a little bit more pressure on the rope, because we're just being a little bit too much. There, I was able to get her to stop and give her a good rub. Now just working on adjusting the rope to the other side. So again, she's going to feel kind of now the pressure of that rope against her flank and on the back part of her hocks again. So we can get in the beginning stages of ground driving. And give her a nice rub there. And then I thought that was really good for her rope work, all preparing for the saddle and good things, but that was very good. So she did work up a good bit of sweat, so she's actually going to get her first bath, and you can tell she really likes her face scratches. And I was already able to kind of wash her down before I started videoing. But sometimes in giving them their baths for the first time, people like to start at their feet. And I found the Mustangs, I always introduce it back to them to their mouth, because then they understand it's water. And their feet, they're a little bit more worried. So I tend to go up a little higher, and I can start on the shoulder and kind of do the feet last. And I found that really helps. She's still a little wiggly, but not too bad. And I'm just working on, she has on that back right hind, there's like old flaky dry skin, and so I was working on getting that really nice and damp. You can see here I've got the hose and stuff, and it's a bit all tangled, so but again, in all the work that we've already done, I know she's pretty good with the rope and stuff around her legs. I'm going to ask her to move a little sideways for me. And then I'm going to increase the pressure when that doesn't work. So pushing, there we go. Get a couple of steps sideways. Then going to show her the sweat scraper. And she was very good. And it was nice to get all of that dirt off. And next I'm going to use my Hispana detangler in Shine. It works really well at helping them stay clean, and it's all natural, so it's really good for their skin and their body. So she's very good about that. Then we finish up on working on learning how to take cookies again. And again, she has to learn that she can't take my whole hand into her mouth. And there, she was getting pretty good at it. And again, because she's so kind of dexterous with her lips, it makes for a good opportunity to start to teach her the smile cue. So I'm just going to start to put a little bit of a cue to it. And she picked that up super quick. So really pleased with Dior on day 11. And you can see she's enjoying a good roll, of course, after her bath in her field. And you can see she's pretty comfortable with herself. And she's a pretty cute little girl. So really happy with her. Really good girl.
Better.